Hey guys, it's Zell Rowland. We're here on Lake Sam Rayburn the day after the Bassmasters Classic that Jordan Lee just won. We're up here, we're gonna test out the new Booyah Prank topwater bait. And we're probably gonna test out some other baits, fish some other baits as well, because we're out of here and it's time to go fishing. So let's go fishing and see how we do. There he is. Oh, that's a good one. He grabbed it on the swim. Come here, little fella. I know you didn't just frickin' swallow it. You wanted to get it. He sort of hit it on the tail, but he hit it when I was swimming that bait. When I pulled it away from the brush, I decided to crank it some, and that's when he got it. I mean, because of the wake bait lip on the prank bait, I can chug that bait real slow, and if I wanted more action, I just pull it a little bit and it'll take off swimming like a little fish. Makes for a lot of fun. Turn him loose. He's thinking about it still. You know, one of my favorite ways of fishing and what I'm noted for is throwing topwater baits, and coming up with the new Booyah Prank was one of the best ideas I've had in a long time. I have lots of topwater baits, but this is one that I really thought I could bring to all the anglers for them to catch a lot of fish. And not only the topwater bait is a topwater bait, but it has a lot of versatility to it, to where I could actually wake it like a wake bait, like a crankbait if I want to. And because of the unique size and shape of the bait, it catches a lot of fish. And I can chug the bait just like I do as a Booyah Boss Pop or even a Rebel Pop R. And if, say I have a fish roll on the bait, all I have to do is pull it very lightly, and the bait takes off with a swimming motion, not a crankbait tight wiggle motion, a swimming motion like an actual fish swims. And I've caught more fish. I've had this bait for a while. You know, I was sitting around in the garage one day and always try to think of things that are gonna help the average angler catch more fish. And I said, you know, if I could make a pop R swim, that would be a fish catching dude. So I started working on this bait probably about a year and a half ago, and when I added the lip to it, I probably ruined more pop R's than people buy just to get that lip in that right, perfect position. But when I got it right, and I actually sent it up to Booyah for them to manufacture it, my favorite words to them was, don't touch it, build it just like it is. And that's exactly what they did. And it's just an awesome bait that is gonna catch a lot of fish for a lot of anglers, especially those young guys that like to be a little more versatile than most. I mean, you can fish this bait multiple ways. You can fish it on the edge of grass beds, cranking it, fishing it on top. But the one thing you want to keep in mind is it is not a crankbait, it's a topwater bait. And in order to work it like a topwater bait, because it has a bill on it, it's a little slower action when you chug it. It's not a Boss Pop or a Rebel Pop R that you can work real fast. It's something that it's more of a subtle presentation to the fish. And trust me, they will bite it. There he is, little one. Quick release. There he is. Oh, did you see him? I worked it just like a jerk bait. Prank's always fun to catch one on. I don't care how big he is. He don't want to jump, he's so tired. Come here, fella. He's a little bitty. What it's all about is being able to make a bait and catch fish on it, no matter how big they are. You want it to catch fish, and the Booyah prank allows me to fish it so many different ways. I mean, this little fish, he took it just like you would if you were throwing some type of jerk bait like a Smithwick roe. I know I'm gonna throw it around one of these trees and a big one's gonna come out from under there not real happy. There he is. Another little one. Oh. They can't stand it. I want to go into a little bit about poppers so I can help you separate the difference, why there's so many in the industry today and why there's different kinds. This is the Rebel popper. The one thing, if you'll make notice about this bait versus a lot of poppers, is the mouth is sort of deep and it's concave. This is actually the original bait that set the popper world on fire back in 1987. And it's a bait that's actually made to chug more like an old-fashioned, maybe Lucky 13. It chugs in the water, it doesn't actually spit the water. This is one of my favorite baits, especially if the water has a little color to it. I like more sound as far as a chugging type noise than I do a bait that sounds like a shad. The other bait is what we call a Booyah Boss Pop. This was actually the Excalibur Zell Pop, but it's been repackaged, renamed, same bait. But the thing about this bait is, if you'll notice the mouth contour, it's sort of flat. It's not as deep, and this bait is actually made to spit when you're working the bait. In other words, if I hold the rod tip up and I'm chugging the bait, it's made to actually throw water out in front of the bait and sound more like a shad that's flicking on the surface of the water. And they come in variety of sizes. I mean, you can get you a little bit larger Booyah Boss Pop. Rebel makes one in a P65 model, which is a little bit larger. And the latest to the family is my favorite. This is an invention that I've come up with. I tinker with baits all the time. And I've still got some that you have not seen yet. But this was one of my favorites, and I actually got Booyah to put it in their line for 2017, 2018. And that is what we're gonna call the Booyah prank. This popper is just like the Booyah Boss Pop. Same mouth, sort of flat, but the difference is I've added a very small wake bait build into the bottom of this bait. Now what this allows me to do is be a lot more versatile with one bait that I could not do before, and that is I can make the bait spit a little bit, or I can crank the bait very slowly and it has swimming action like a wake bait. But one of my favorite ways is to throw it along maybe a dock or a tree and pull the bait underwater and then twitch it, sort of like a jerk bait. There's a good one. Get out of the bush. There, he come out. That was a good one. Oh man, I'm telling you, it's hard to beat the prank. The Booyah prank. I don't think he knows he's hooked yet. Yeah, fella. Oh, he got it. He got it. Now the question is, where do I want to grab him? There you go. Looky there. The Booyah prank. Don't get no better than that. You know, this fish was laying by that bush, and when you're able to have a bait that's got a lot of versatility to it like this bait has, I can work this bait as a little wake bait if I want, or I can sort of twitch it just like I can actually twitch it just like I can a jerk bait and get the same image that I want. And that may help me if I decide to throw a jerk bait later on. That's a nice little fish. Hey, Daddy. You know, one of the biggest mistakes a lot of anglers make is after catching a pretty decent fish, they don't retie. And I always like to make sure that, you know, if I catch a 3 or 4 pounder, I won't check my line, especially that fish came out around some brush. So I'm gonna make sure that I get a little bit of the frayness off, and I use a clear Copar monofilament made by Silver Thread. And the other thing I want you to notice is because I'm in a hurry and I want to catch another one, I'm gonna tie a Palomar knot, which is real easy. But the other thing I wanted to make notice to you, especially about the Booyah Boss Pop, is I get questions all the time about when I throw a regular Rebel Pop R or a Booyah Boss Pop. When I throw either one of those baits, most all top water baits I fish with, I tie directly to the line tie that's on the bait. Never do I put a split ring, never do I use a snap swivel. On the Booyah Prank, however, I have a split ring on the front of this bait. This is what allows that prank to swim from left to right like a fish. So I've got to have that play in the eye of the bait. Ooh, that was a nice one. How'd you like that? He thought he was gonna prank me, but I ended up pranking him. Man, he scared me. He grabbed it so good. Come here, fella. Boy, I love it when they eat the prank that good. You know, you just never know how one's gonna bite it. One thing I wanted to mention that really separates this bait as a topwater bait from any other bait, and also allows me to sort of crank it like a shallow water wake type bait, is the Booyah Prank on the very back of the bait on each side has some real flat, smooth grooves cut into the back, more sort of maybe at a 35-degree angle. And what this does is it allows the water flow to go around that bait when I pull it through the water, and actually it gives it that swimming action from side to side like a real bait fish, not like a real tight crankbait. Because if you watch fish swim in the water, they have this motion to it. And the Booyah Prank is by far sets itself apart from any other topwater bait that I've ever got to throw so far, especially that I've been able to create. Ooh, God. Come here, little sucker. You don't think they eat it? This little bass just got pranked by the Booyah Prank. Bingo. Remember to like, share, and tag a friend to win this week's prize. And remember, you can get the Booyah Prank all the great gear that you want, from a rod to a reel to the line, at Tackle Warehouse.